Every now and again, we get an opportunity to chat with the man with the crystal ball. This guy puts out the Trends Journal, remarkable accuracy, incredible research, and just a ton of information, a hell of a lot more than we can get to in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But by God, we'll take what we can get. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Gerald Celente. Hello, Gerald. How you been, man?
Oh, very good, Brian. Just got back from Berlin, actually.
Wow. Is that, well, I'm glad you're back.
Well, what I have to tell you, when you walk around there and you realize that the only thing we learned from history is nothing. And the sense that you see all these beautiful buildings that were, built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then you see then you see new construction next to it, going for blocks that was bombed out, and you see the destruction that happened in Berlin and Hamburg and all the other places that were just bombed out. And you wonder, how long does it take people before they say, stop, I'm not going to do this, I'm not following this madness? And it really just kept striking me. And then we've heard of Checkpoint Charlie all of our lives, those of us that are old enough, that separated East Berlin from West Berlin. As soon as you go past where the checkpoint used to be, the first thing you see is a McDonald's. The first building past the checkpoint on the right-hand side, the most prominent place is a huge McDonald's.
Wow. It is, well, hey, let's hear it for capitalism and Reconstruction. But as you look out across just all around the world, you're not going to confine the United States. If we look at the Spring Trends Journal, that old song, "The Future's so bright, I gotta wear shades." I don't get the sense that we need sunglasses looking out at the future when you look at the trends that you've compiled this time around.
No, and one of the reasons we were there, of course, at the Frankfurt Exchange and talking to different people, the bond traders know what's going on. They know that this thing in Europe is going to collapse and there's no saving it. You get a totally different picture from talking to these traders than talking to what you hear on the media. There's no way out. There is no way out. You cannot, this doesn't take, Einstein to figure this one out. Let's say you have a home equity loan, a second mortgage, as they used to call them, and you can't pay off your first one. You have a second one. I'll tell you what, Brian, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you a third mortgage. And then I'm going to give you a fourth mortgage. Don't worry about it. You'll never pay it off, but at least we're keeping the Ponzi scheme going. And that's all they're doing. We have to stop calling it the International Monetary Fund and call it by its proper name. It's the International Mafia Federation. These are loan sharks, period, paragraph. And what the whole world is in hock to them. What's going on in Spain? And I love it. You listen to the language. Spain is entering into its second recession with a 25% unemployment rate and 50% youth unemployment rate. Recession? Can anybody say depression? There's depression in Spain, a depression in Greece, a depression in Portugal, a depression in Ireland. Italy's going into a depression. So we're looking at, and in the United States, you look at the real number, and it's the real unemployment number. If they kept putting back the people that they no longer count once they're off the rolls, it's at 10.2%. And then when you look at the underemployed, those people that want full-time jobs and have part-time, you're looking at about 17.5% to 20%. So there's a depression going on, and the only people who are making money are the people at the top, and I'm not making that up. You look at the numbers.
Well, what about the, I was going to ask you about that because you say right at the beginning, this is not Chicken Little or the kid at the door crying wolf. You read about if the situation is not reversed, if we don't change, if Congress doesn't act, it's unsustainable. The country's already bankrupt on paper. There was an article Associated Press had out, I believe it was yesterday, talking about Social Security, the latest report on Social Security and Medicare and all that goes along with it. that we're plumb broke, and we're going to be broke 3 years sooner than we were originally forecasting. But how is it possible, Gerald, to get a handle on the unsustainability of unsustainable? I mean, they keep talking about being unsustainable, kicking the can down the road. What's the timeline on all this?
Well, that's the thing. You see, they keep coming up with these schemes undreamed of. Let's go back to under Bush when they made up one called TARP. You remember that one. It was supposed to save people from losing their homes, and all it did was bail out the banks. So here we hear all our lives, every one of us that has to work for a living, you know, you rise and fall on your own merits. This is capitalism. Except if you're a member of the White Shoe Boys Club. You know, that's different. Then you get bailed out. You're a banker. You're a member of the Wall Street gang. And then you look at what's going on. And it's going on in Ohio. It's going on in Michigan, New Jersey, New York, every state. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in there and I'm going to create 200 jobs. Oh, you will? And you get some jerk that calls himself a economic development agency expert. And we're going to give you tax breaks, loan guarantees. We're going to build you infrastructure. We're going to grant you bonds. We're going to grant you breaks that you never could believe in. And we're going to tap the taxpayer to give it to you. So what's happened is the merger of state and corporate powers, by definition, is called fascism. And that's what's going on in America. When is it going to change? When the people wake up and start taking action. Oh, how about this one, Brian? How about these lovely little wars that just keep going on and on and on? And then when one of these soldiers loses their mind after being deployed 3 or 4 times in horrendous conditions, knowing that they're never going to win, and they snap, you know, this isn't the way America behaves. Oh, no, you started a war in Afghanistan. You started a war in Iraq under false pretenses. Oh, look at that lovely one Obama started in Libya. You remember that one? The humanitarian mission, a time-limited, scope-limited kinetic action. You remember that one? Well, it's still going on. It's a civil war now. You want to know where the money's going? Ask President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the greatest general of the 20th century, who said, as he left office, 2-term Republican president, 5-star general, that the military-industrial complex is robbing us of the genius of its scientists, the sweat of its labors, and the future of the children. And he was right.
Are we going to get involved with Iran? Is that going to happen?
I don't know, but the psychopaths are pushing for it. And you hear these presidential candidates, a guy like Romney, for example, you know, and Obama. Both these guys never fought a war in their lives. You know what Romney's my age, is 65. And you know, I was prime, you know, draft me during the Vietnam War. You know what Romney was? Romney got a draft deferment. Romney was in France. And check it out, 1965, 68, 7, 68, 69 France. Wine-loving, caffeine-addicted, cigarette-smoking, Bridget Bardot-loving France, and he's a Mormon missionary, and he's going to convert them? I mean, come on, who could get away with a line like that?
Are we? Let's talk about the November for a moment. Is the fix in on that? Are we going to get 4 more years of Obama, or does Romney have a chance?
We had the trend alert that we sent out on October 5th, 2011, and we said that if Romney or any of the other ones were the front runners at the time in November, that Obama wins.
Wow. Well, I mean, you kind of hope that, with $4 a gallon gas and the unemployment numbers that you just cited, and all the rest of this nonsense that's been going on, these latest scandals down in Colombia and so on, there's no possibility that can sink that ship.
Because all it is, you see, it's the presidential reality show. They say that politics is show business for ugly people. That's all this is. It's a show. You see Obama hitting the stage at the colleges the last 3 days, you know, to all these kids, you know, and they're cheering 4 more years, amen. You know, I mean, it's the presidential reality show. It has nothing to do with qualified people. We have a guy in office that what were his credentials? He was a community organizer in Chicago that never organized anything, and I'm not making this up. I wrote about it as it was happening. I know the facts and I know the details, and I know what he had said, how he never really accomplished much there. And then he was a senator, a two-bit senator in a state senator, and I was the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate. So when I say two-bit, I know who these guys are. And then he becomes a temporary senator, a U.S. senator for 2 years, and here he is. He's the winning contestant on the presidential reality show. That's all this is. And so, and all the Republicans and the Democrats it's a syndicate. And this isn't real. This is a mob. And all the politicians they're the wise guys for the bankers and the corporate chieftains, just like you're seeing what happened in Mexico with Walmart. You think that's the only place they bought anybody off? I see zoning laws change all over the place.
What about from the financial standpoint, Gerald? We do a lot of conversation about that here on the station and on the show. In fact, today we were talking about Bernanke and Timmy Geithner and hyperinflation and all the rest that goes along with it. Is there, as this thing moves down the road, it almost appears that type of an eruption, a financial eruption, and the social unrest that follows is as unavoidable as anything else. And you concur.
It's unavoidable if they keep dumping money into the system. The Europeans are doing the same thing with the 1.3 trillion euros they gave to banks at virtually no interest to buy their crappy Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and Irish bonds and Greek bonds. So that's the other one. I think I forgot they're in depression, of course. So what they're doing is, what I said, they keep coming up with these schemes undreamed of. They made up TARP. They made it acceptable for the Federal Reserve to bail out QE1 and QE2. I mean, who could make this? This stuff is made up crap by people who don't know what they're doing. And I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is go back and look at the record. Look at what Bernanke said in 2005. Look what he said in 2006. Look what he said in 2007. And the rest of the Fed flunkies around them saying that, everything is okay. We don't see the subprime mortgage problem seeping into the other sectors of the financial instruments. So they're wrong on everything, and so are the rest of these politicians. They're wrong with the wars. I mean, these wars have been going on for how long? The generals, we're making impressive progress. Hey, guys, you haven't won a real war since World War II. I've been hearing this all my life. And politicians and Fed chairmen and rest of the bureaucrats out there are the only people that become emboldened by their failures and get promoted. The bigger they fail, the higher they go. That's what the syndicate does.
There's one thing you dealt with in detail in the latest spring trends is Israel and Iran, Israel, and Washington, and the rather unusual relationship, or at least how it's portrayed in all of that. Getting back to Iran for a moment, how is that going to work itself out with Israel and Iran? Is Israel going to act unilaterally? You talk about I'm trying to come up with the right word, or the attitude, the relationship, the comments, and so on that Obama makes with respect to Netanyahu and Israel. How do you see that playing out?
Well, again, anytime you say anything against Israel, they call you an anti-Semite. And I just went on for 15 minutes about America. I can't say anything about another country that is also doing things that are against international law. So when you point this out, they go berserk. And just to make it clear for anybody listening out there, I'm not an anti-Semite. 3/4 of our staff, you open the Trends Journal up, you have Eldad Ben-Ari, Mitchell Skolnick, Alex Silberman, John Anthony West. He happens to be Jewish, even though he has a WASP name. It was Wiesenfeld. His father changed it. You have Laura Martin. She's also she's Jewish. You have Jerry Charles, our professional services director. She's Jewish. I'm not an anti-Semite. And by the way, my last 3 girlfriends were Jewish too. So what I'm saying is, Israel keeps taking Palestinian land. They keep calling it settlements as though, there's these covered wagons going across the empty desert. There's a land grab, and they just grabbed some more yesterday. So they're inflaming the situation. And as far as Iran having a missile, hey, wait a minute. How many does Israel have?
A
300? 300 nuclear weapons? Look what happened with North Korea. The damn thing was in the news for a week. Oh, they're going to launch a missile. Oh, they're going to launch a missile. Watch out. This is a dangerous part of the world. You looked at the footage of this thing. It was like they had a big erector set up there. Now, you pick up the paper last week. India just launched a missile that could hit Beijing and Shanghai. Nuclear warheads that could reach there. It barely made the news. Oh, it's okay for India to have them, okay for Israel, okay for Pakistan. Oh, it's okay for France. It's okay for Germany. It's okay, for England. Okay for the U.S. Okay for Russia. Okay, but not the Iranians, not the North Koreans. They're bad. Look, they launch a missile at anybody, the whole country turns to glass. They would be attacked so heavily. So what this is propaganda. And the propaganda is being used to deflect people's attention from the declining economies. They do it all the time. The crash of 29, the Great Depression, currency wars, trade wars, World War, the Panic of '08, the Great Recession/Depression. We're in currency wars, trade wars. Get ready for World War. It's erupting. The people are out in the streets in Spain. They're out in Greece. Czech Republic on Sunday never made the news. That is a tiny little country. 100,000 people on the streets. The Netherlands government just failed 2 days ago for the same reason. You just saw the guy Sarkozy, the little American over there, the little chicken hawk that started the Libyan war. He just lost. He's losing in France. You're seeing one after another topple. People are taking to the streets. They're going to deflect the people's minds away from the failing economic system by taking us to war. They do it all the time.
Gerald, you're not going to get invited back on the TV shows. You keep talking like this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, put it out. Yeah. But do you get any more invitations, by the way, from Fox or ABC and so on? You mentioned in the spring trends that it's not. You're kind of persona non grata from over there.
For a long time I was, until we came back with the Panic of '08. And then they couldn't ignore us again. But when I came out and said what would happen with the Afghan war, and then I came out and said what would happen exactly. It's in print. You could go to our website, trendsjournal.com, wrote about it as it was happening, gave the exact scenario and how it was going to play out. They called me a Bush basher, an anti-American, and you're either with us or with the terrorists. And so that wasn't that way. So nobody wanted. I used to be on Oprah, the Today Show, all of those shows, and they didn't want to hear it anymore. And then what really put the nail in the media coffin for me is when I call the whole real estate bubble a bubble and a sham, giving mortgages and loans to people with no credit ratings and that were deep in debt. And I said the whole thing was going to explode. That's when they stopped having me on CNBC. Because what are they doing? They're selling. These guys are no more than hucksters that they used to have on the Midway in Coney Island. Step right up, step right up. How about, Brian, you look like a guy that could go for an auction rate security. And you, little lady, how about a synthetic collateralized debt obligation?
Is that what John Corzine sounded like?
That boy, and there, everybody has to look and see what has happened to America. People are misspelling the word justice. It's Justus, just us. We get busted for every little thing that we do. I just saw a guy get taken off to jail in Florida for what? Beating McDonald's out of $1 coffee. The little girl that they handcuffed that threw a tantrum out in Florida. You know, one after another. You want to sell raw milk? We'll show you. You know, but then John Corzine, this cat can't find $1.6 billion. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what happened to it. Sloppy bookkeeping. Or couldn't be that you've been raising $500,000 for the Obama campaign. Couldn't be that you're holding $38,000 a plate dinners for Obama. And it's the same thing. Have you seen one head roll from the Goldman Sachs gang? From the Merrill Lynch mob? Oh, no, all they do is get fines, and they neither admit or deny accusations of improprietary movements.
Well, you, absolutely hit the nail on the head on that one. Justus, J-U-S-T-U-S. I have to start respelling it that way. The Trends Journal, Next Train to Auschwitz. That's the current journal that's available in the subscriber area over at trendsresearch.com. If you want your news straight and on steroids, but straight arrow, you want to read Gerald Celente and the Trends Journal. Gerald, it's always great having you on the show. We look forward to the next time. Hope we can make it a lot sooner. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brian.
Be well. Gerald Celente, thanks a lot.